Hello out there, my friends. It is I, Hondo Onaka. Now you know what to do. You must tune in to my favorite podcast, the Five-ish Fangirls. Otherwise, there could be consequences.
The tenders of squeak continue all the way to episode 348 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Well, if Steven Spielberg isn't available, get me his non-union Mexican equivalent. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do with a virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Sally from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I had to paraphrase Mr. Burns there because I don't have a Smithers with me. So,
and neither Holly or I are very good Smithers.
Yeah,
Smithers.
No. No,
but that line's just so
try,
funny.
But I would probably fail.
Yes. That line is just so funny. It's like, I gotta make it work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's happening. It seems our profits have dropped 37%.
I'm afraid we have a bad image, sir. Market research shows people see you as something of an ogre.
I ought to club them and eat their bones.
Well, maybe this film festival could help us. A film biography might let them get to know the real you. Virtuous, heroic, nubile.
You left out pleasant. But I like that film biography idea. A slick Hollywood picture to gloss over my evil rise to power like Bugsy or Working Girl. Get me Steven Spielberg.
He's unavailable.
Then get me his non-union Mexican equivalent.
Alrighty, well, let's do the news. Not a whole lot of news, but it's good news.
As we alluded last week.
Yeah, because we knew it was coming. Was the new trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. Some new stuff. Some stuff we've already seen.
And some things that sent the theorists and, well, I want to say conspiracy theorists into a frenzy, but we don't do that here.
Yeah.
No.
Although, is it?
My mom saw it and she's just like, am I going to have to rewatch some of the older stuff? I'm like,
yeah.
She's like, do you have it in reach? I'm just like, give me 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to need to watch, because I never actually watched it, the one with Jamie Foxx. I haven't actually seen him as Electro, so knowing that he's in it, I'm like, yeah, I should probably brush up on that character. So, but yeah, but it looks so good. I'm gonna be going around telling everyone to Scooby Doo this crap. So
yes, please.
Yes,
I know magic too.
Season, thank you are the magic words. Yes, but Scooby-Doo, that this crap is now like my favorite phrase. So
yes,
but yeah, I at this point that should be like the last like big trailer, because now we're less than a month out. So at this point, it's going to be little snippets and commercial spots. So I don't want to see anymore. I don't want to hear anymore.
Given what was in the trailer and like how much, how much was there and what they showed, and even something they didn't show.
Yeah, so things they didn't show that people are assuming are certain characters, certain people. Who haven't shown their faces yet, that people are like, where is blood? Like, they're not going to show everything.
Where is X? Don't ask us why.
And if they did, it's like, well, what's the point of, giving you the...
Yeah, exactly.
What's the point of seeing the movie if it's all gonna be in the trailer? So
exactly.
Pretty
Exactly.
much.
It's like if you're really desperate to see Andrew Garfield's face right now, go over to Netflix and watch Tick Tick Boom.
Mhm.
Because that's really good. And he's definitely in
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So,
Yes. I know it's fun to like get riled up and be like, "Oh, it's happening." And whatever, but you know, it's coming, guys. Like you don't have that much time to wait.
yeah.
All will be revealed. It is, you know, in a in honor of, well, I don't know if it's an honor given what some of the things I've heard about the show so far, but in honor of Wheel of Time, the Amazon series dropping and kind of being a wet fart. I will quote Robert Jordan as saying, "Read and find out." Well, this is watch and find out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So yeah. I'm in a bit of a mood. I was watching a YouTube review of Ghostbusters Afterlife, and it's a channel that I normally enjoy, but they got right off the bat, they were just crapping on the movie, and I'm like, and done.
Oh, come on.
So-
Come on now.
Like, obviously, we did not watch the same movie, so bye. It
Yeah.
kind of put me in a
Pause,
mood.
unsubscribe, unfollow.
Like, oh, yep, bye.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, people get people complain about, oh, you're just unfollowing, unfriending, whatever, because you just don't like you just don't agree with what they say, and you're just like, yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, we've disagreed on the quality of movies in the past, and it's never been
Yes.
an issue. So it's just this
Right.
particular time. It's like right off the bat, they were just crapping all over it. Like
Mhm.
they're not even giving it a chance, or like finding
Right.
anything nice to say about it. So
yeah,
Mm.
well, they've already made up their mind to hate it, so
exactly.
Mhm.
that's their problem.
Yep. So
I mean, you're allowed to not like things, but
right.
you're also, you also kind of need to let people
Not be a sourpuss.
Yeah, let people like
That,
things.
yes.
Just because you don't like it and someone else does doesn't mean that that either of you are bad people. I'm kind of getting tired of this whole, oh, you liked X or you didn't like X, therefore you are fill in the blank.
Don't
Whatever.
rain on somebody else's parade,
Seriously.
please.
You know,
don't piss in somebody else's Cheerios.
While
Yeah.
we're quoting,
I was going for the more polite way. I was thinking what you said.
Yeah, but at the
Rachel.
moment, I feel like someone pissed in my Cheerios.
Yeah.
So I'm
while
going with it.
while we're quoting other creators, let's go to MST3K for a minute. It's just a movie. You should really relax.
Yeah, really, exactly, exactly. So anyway, back to more pleasant things in theory. Disney had Destination D, or Destination D23, which is kind of their miniature version of D23 Expo.
Mm-hmm.
That's in Florida, because D23 Expo is in Anaheim.
Right.
So they had their thing, which looked like a lot of fun. But of course, we got some announcements related to the parks and resorts. Some of this is stuff we already knew, but Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, the new attraction at Epcot, is set to open next summer. And we got a fun little video from Glenn Close in full Nova Prime hair and makeup, letting everyone know that she, as Nova Prime, will be part of the attraction. So apparently the description is, guests will enter the new Wonders of Xandar Pavilion via the Galaxarium and proceed through the Xandar Gallery, where they learn more about the Xandarian people as well as the similarities that connect Earth and Xandar.
Fascinating.
Which mildly reminds me of the Captain America attraction that I created back at college. So I'm like, dang it!
You're like, hey Disney, by the way.
Yeah. Let's see. Disneyland Paris is going to be celebrating its 30th anniversary, starting next year. That will kick off March 6th, 2022, with new shows, entertainment, and decor, just like they have done with all the other anniversaries of the other Disney parks. New costumes. But they're also getting a version of Avengers Campus that will be welcoming guests next summer. So it's the next chapter of the Global Avengers Initiative. So I guess it's not going to necessarily be a exact copy of the one that's out in California, but it's, I guess, Avengers Campus Paris Edition. But that connects really well to the recently rethemed Disney Hotel New York, the Art, which is now Disney Hotel New York, the Art of Marvel. Which, if somebody wants to send me to Paris, I will not say no. I'm just saying. And wants to put me in, the Art of Marvel Hotel, I would say no.
Seriously, I wouldn't say no either.
Yeah.
Trip to Paris? Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
Like Eiffel Tower, whatever. Arc de Triomphe,
Just need to
whatever.
track down my passport, renew it, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
That is true. I think my passport's expired by now.
I think mine's still good. I can go. The Disney Wish, which is the newest cruise ship, which will start sailing next year, I think, they talked about the 2 new shows that are going to be on that specific ship, which it can vary ship to ship, but there's usually like one like Disney, not necessarily IP specific, but includes Disney characters show. And then there's usually one show that's essentially a scaled down Broadway Disney show. So in this case, the Disney Wish is going to have Seas, SEAS, The Adventure, with Goofy as the main character, and a cruise ship stage-sized appropriate version of The Little Mermaid. So
that sounds like fun.
Yep.
I want to see that.
Yeah, my last Disney cruise, it was Frozen, which was appropriate because we were in Alaska.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So, let's see. The Disneyland Hotel out in Anaheim is getting some upgrades, including a new tower. So even more rooms for people to stay, and we'll also have a new pool and recreation area. So that's cool. And then there were also some sneak peeks of the Frozen themed land coming to Hong Kong, the Zootopia themed land coming to Shanghai, and Fantasy Springs, which is going in Tokyo Disney Sea. And then also people got to look at the new Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, which is the Star Wars immersive, all-inclusive themed hotel that is opening next spring. Plus, they're doing some just general like upgrades and updates to things like Toontown and Downtown Disney at Disneyland. So exciting things coming. Yes. I need to plan a trip to somewhere. Problem is, I want to be like 12 places at once.
I know you need your you need your.
I
own
have like
jet.
plan like A, B, C, and D at this point. So, I need a time turner or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something. That's it for the news for the most part. A little bit of housekeeping, tangentially other podcast related stuff. My episode of Set Lusting Bruce is now out in the feeds. So you can go listen to
Very nice.
me and Jesse talk about Weird Al and Metallica. Mostly.
It was a great conversation.
Thanks.
And
you can listen to my
nice answer on the
20-minute
Mary question.
tangent. You can listen to, I'm exaggerating. I don't think it's 20 minutes. It's more like 5. But you can listen to
Yes.
like what seems like a 20-minute tangent to story to get to how the one, my White Whale Metallica song I have got to hear. So, and also hear about how I asked Weird Al to my prom when I was in high school.
Nice.
It's a fantastic listen.
Yeah.
So go check that out, y'all.
Yep. And then in the Patreon feeds, this month's Patreon episode of Gold Standard is now out. So we talk about the 2005 Academy Award Best Picture nominee, Brokeback Mountain. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can go listen to that. That was quite a discussion. So
Imagine
I
so.
can imagine.
yeah, both of the film itself and whether it should have won. Spoiler alert, it should have won. So I don't think our opinion is going to change when we get to 2005 either. No.
Not playing your hand at all there, huh?
No, not at all. No, because we've already talked about one of the other nominees, Good Night and Good Luck.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
my opinion has not changed. Actually, Zan's did from back when we talked about Good Night and Good Luck and what she thought should have won that year. So, but you'll have to listen. All right. Feedback from Shalane, of course. Touching on a number of things. She mentions Disenchanted, the Enchanted sequel that's coming. Apparently, both James Marsden and Idina Menzel are also going to be reprising their characters, and Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz are going to be doing the music again.
Which would make sense.
She says she is also excited for the things that are coming to Disney that were going to be on Disney Plus that we talked about. Like Ms. Marvel, She-Hulk, Agatha, all the Marvel stuff, Obi-Wan, Baymax, Tiana, Zootopia. All of the things. So something she says she forgot to mention in her last feedback about Percy Jackson is, did we know that Disney is going to be doing a TV series based on Percy Jackson?
Now that she mentioned it, I remember hearing something about this. It's one of those things I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that it's, good. But yeah, I'm like, we've been burned so many times, everybody. It's kind of hard to trust after that, but we're gonna find out.
Yeah, it's like I'll see it when it actually happens.
Yep,
and then we'll see if it's actually any good. Those are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says she has read one of the Spiderwick Chronicles books, and she said yes, Nickelodeon did do a movie about it in the 90s. and then Disney took the rights to it, just like they did with Doug.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of interesting, like looking back, because I loved watching Doug on Nickelodeon when I was a kid, and then Disney ended up with it, and the two shows, the two versions of the show are very different, but I like them for different reasons. So it's it's like it's not always a bad thing, and sometimes like nothing really. I mean, sometimes it's kind of like, oh, this is fine, this is cool. So I'm like, let's hope. I'd like to hope for something like that, but it's a little dicey these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just weird thinking about the things that Disney has owned over the years that I equate with other major studios and or networks. So it's like Doug and the Power Rangers.
Oh, Disney owns that now?
So
and Power Rangers has kind of bopped around.
Yes.
For, Disney had it. Well, let's see. It started on Fox. Yes, it started on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was and I lost track of it until I was.
So did Haim Saban.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it was on Disney, and I was like, "What now?"
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
It got sucked into a vortex with the Doctor probably for a little bit.
Probably, yeah. That was a thing.
Yep. Let's see. Talking about Eternals. Nothing spoilery, so don't worry. She says her favorites were Circe, Sprite, and Kingo, plus Kingo's valet, dude.
Yeah.
She said she never thought that Angelina Jolie would be in a Marvel movie. Like at this point, everybody is going to be in a Marvel movie.
It's one of those things.
Give them
like,
time.
Yeah, it's gonna. Everybody's gonna be like to their agent, get me on a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Keanu Reeves even said, "Yep, if they offer, I'm on in." I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to be in a Marvel movie, so
I think we all do.
Yeah.
It's like, here, I'll be one of the people running away from the aliens or something, and whatever superhero swoops in to fight. I'll just you'll be able to see my hand in the letterbox copy.
Or Rachel, you'll get this. Or we'll be the fans that have their own podcast that stalk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. And then she mentions that she thought that Barry Keoghan, who plays I can't think of his name now. The one with the mind control powers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Durin?
Durin, yeah, something that starts with a D.
Durian?
Yeah, something like that. Sorry. I need to go see it again. So there's a lot of characters to keep track of. But she had mistaken him for I think Ezra Miller. Is that who it is? That's the Flash in the DC movies. He's the one in Fantastic Beasts. Yes, Druig. Ezra Miller is the one in the Fantastic Beasts movies.
Okay.
Yeah, they do look an awful lot alike, though, so I could totally see how it would be a thing.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, like today at the library, oh crap, who was it? I swear this guy walked in and I thought it was, who's the guy who plays the guy in Rogue One that builds the Death Star or designs it? Who's that actor?
Oh, shoot.
Anyway, he looked like a discount version of that guy.
No.
I had to do a double take because I just kind of saw him out the corner of my eye and I was like, wait a minute. Oh, well, you look an awful lot like him. You're not him, but you look like him. And I'm totally blanking on that actor's name right now.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Mads Mikkelsen?
Him, yes. Thank you. That's
You're
him.
welcome.
So yeah, I was like, huh.
That
well
guy
then.
that plays the bad guys and everything, except
Yeah.
except Rogue One.
Well, he works for the bad guys in Rogue One, but then
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
Yep.
Splitting hairs.
He's the one who
Yes.
he's the one who helped with the flaw.
Yes.
Yes.
Fix that
And-
40-year-old plot hole. Thank you very
And,
much.
and millions of internet geeks were silenced.
Yes.
Sort of.
And there were some of us that were cheering. It's like, yes.
Yep.
They're like, okay, we'll shut up now.
And then Shalane followed up that email with another email that says, another thing I forgot about Eternals, she loves the flashbacks and how it blends well into the story, very much like the storytelling they do in Shang-Chi.
Might be a thing they're going for now.
Yeah. I mean, when you, like, Chauncey and I had this discussion after he watched Shang-Chi, and how we've spent so long with the same characters over and over and over, essentially, that we haven't needed like a full-on origin story in so long.
Right.
And the characters that they're using now are more obscure than your Captain America's. And, you know, people thought Iron Man was obscure when they made the first Iron Man movie, because, like, you know, Hulk, Spider-Man, you know, Captain America, but it's like compared to like Guardians of the Galaxy or like Shang-Chi, Iron Man's not that obscure. So
Yeah, I mean, I'd at least heard of Iron Man.
exactly,
You know, back when the movies had come out.
Yeah.
But,
So
I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, and they you know poked fun at themselves in the trailers. We're all like, who?
yeah, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So, but now these characters like Shang-Chi and the Eternals, who maybe aren't as main, you know, even more obscure, and so you know, you can only cram so much background, you know, in there without really dragging a movie down. So having like these little flashback scenes really helps.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just telling everyone, oh, this person did this and blah, 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 and, you know, this is their life story, you know, you can have them now doing things and, you know, something coming up and it prompting a flashback, and that fills in that gap. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tried and true storytelling device where you're like, oh, we mentioned something that you have no knowledge of. Let's do a quick flashback and fill that in. So
Yeah. Well, if it works.
it works. Yep. Exactamundo. So, all right, cool. Thank you, Shalane, for your feedback. As always. So, let's get to this week's main topic. Move stuff so I can get to my notes. Like I have my handwritten notes and the 5 million links that will be in the show notes. You are welcome. So very much like we did, a couple years ago, I think, at this point, when we did the John Williams
Right. Yeah.
retrospective. We're doing the other half of that super duo, essentially, because wherever John Williams goes, Steven Spielberg is probably not too far behind. But it also just so happens that Steven Spielberg is turning 75 next month, so it's kind of a big deal.
Mhm.
Plus, you know, West Side Story is getting ready to open up, which is
This
another
is
thing
true.
Shalane mentioned in her feedback. She thought maybe we would talk about West Side Story, but we've already done that on Gold Standard, so you can go listen to that, the OG version. But yeah, so Steven Spielberg, you know, new movie coming out very shortly. His updated version of West Side Story. Hopefully nobody will be in brown face, which automatically makes an improvement. But yeah, he's also turning 75, which is kind of a big deal. So we thought we would take this opportunity to talk about the guy who most considered the godfather of summer blockbusters. So all these movies that we talk about, we love, like the MCU and Star Wars and the blockbuster films. Blockbusters, especially summer ones, were not really a thing until he came along with a certain fishy movie. We'll get to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he also happened to pull along a certain composer who we've done a podcast episode or two about as well.
Yeah. So this would be a good companion piece if you want to go listen to our John Williams episode. Because John's going to come up at least once or twice during this discussion. So,
which is, it's always just fascinating that people talk about Spielberg is known for his stories about whimsy and fantasy and all those kinds of things, and I'm like, John Williams is kind of he gets he should have a lot of credit for that too. But yes, the two creators definitely go hand in hand. Spielberg with the storytelling and Williams with the music.
Yep, very much so. So Steven Allen Spielberg was born on the 18th of December, 1946 in Cincinnati, Ohio. He was the oldest of 4 kids. He's got 3 younger sisters. He's the only boy. So his sisters Anne, Sue, and Nancy. His mother, Leah, works in the restaurant industry and was also a concert pianist. And then his father, Arnold, was an electrical engineer who worked in the development of computers, but then also worked on the side. He also worked on television. So Stephen learned about TVs early on. If the last name was not a giveaway, yes, they are Jewish. So his family was Orthodox Jewish. His paternal grandparents were Ashkenazi Jews from the Ukraine, who settled in Cincinnati in the early 1900s. They lived in Cincinnati until 1952, where they moved to Haddon Township, New Jersey, after his father was hired by RCA. Hence the TV connection.
Yes, which back in the day, RCA was kind of a big deal. They were one of the foremost.
And this was the early days of people having televisions in their homes.
Yes. I mean, nowadays it's like RCA is kind of an old school, old brand. Like nobody really has. I don't even know if they're still around or not. But when you had an RCA TV, that was like, oh boy, you were loving life,
living the high life.
Yep.
Spielberg attended Hebrew school from 1953 to 1957, and then the family moved again to Phoenix, Arizona. Which, in a speech that I will have linked in the show notes, Stephen would tell you, as a teenager in Phoenix, Arizona, not a whole lot to do. No.
It has changed considerably since then, but yes, back then,
not so much.
The Western United States kind of, the East was all built up and everything, and it kind of took some time for things to get built up just as much over here.
Yeah, because getting to the West Coast was not easy.
No.
So, yep. Stephen did have a bar mitzvah when he turned 13. He does have familial connections to the Holocaust. According to Stephen, his father lost between 16 and 20 relatives in the Holocaust. And apparently it was a common topic in the household. Which made things, he says in a quote, he says, it isn't something I enjoy admitting, but when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, God forbid me, I was embarrassed because we were Orthodox Jews. Says he was embarrassed by the outward perception of his parents' Jewish practices. He wasn't really ashamed to be Jewish, but it was uneasy. And he did get teased and bullied in high school because of it. He was not a popular kid at all. Picked last for like everything.
When you stand out for any sort of reason,
Yeah.
you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, you are a prime target, unfortunately, and that's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Humans aren't very good at mixing with other people, which, you know, that's a different topic for another day. But yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yep.
get it.
Yeah. So at the age of 6 or 7-ish, his dad took him to his very first movie. He had never seen a motion picture before. He'd never even been to a motion picture theater before. So he was quite enthralled. At first, he was mad because he thought he was going to the circus. Turns out when his dad told him he was going to go see lions, tigers, and bears and all the circus accoutrement, he didn't mean the actual circus. He meant Cecil B. DeMille's Best Picture winner, The Greatest Show on Earth, which we have also covered on Gold Standard already, and is one of those movies of like, why in God's green earth did they give Best Picture to this movie? But Steven loved it. So, especially the train crash that is kind of towards the climactic end of the film. And when he got home, he begged his parents for a train set and proceeded to recreate that train crash, breaking his trains multiple times. He'd crash them together, break one train, take it to his dad and be like, it's broken. And his dad would be like, okay, whatever, you fix it. And then he'd do it again, break the other train, take it to his dad, and be like, okay, I'm going to fix this one because it's a different one. Break these again, though, kid. I'm like, I'm taking these trains away from you. And he's like, okay. But he just
time.
Yeah, he was just like, I was so enthralled. He's like, I just so wanted to like see this train crash again. And it occurred to him that if he filmed it, he could just watch the film over and over again. So that was when he made his first film, quote unquote film, was filming his trains crashing together in his own version of the train wreck in The Greatest Show on Earth. Thankfully, when he filmed it, the trains did not break. But he once he got his hands on the family home camera, which I think at that point it was probably 8mm. He was kind of hooked and would start filming as much stuff as possible. He joined the Boy Scouts and would take the camera on the camping trips and film. He ended up earning his photography merit badge by making a 9-minute 8mm film called The Last Gunfight. Because they did not have a still camera, so he went to a Scoutmaster, and because as far as the merit badge was concerned, you're supposed to take actual photos. But he went to the Scoutmaster, and he's like, "Can I do a film and still earn this merit badge?" And the Scoutmaster's like, "Yeah, I guess so." So that's exactly what he did. There was no stopping him there. So by the time he was 13 and had that bar mitzvah, he had made a 40-minute war film called Escape to Nowhere, which he actually entered in a statewide competition and won first prize.
Wow.
Yeah. So he figures by the time he entered high school, he probably made 15 to 28mm adventure type films. And then, once he discovered going to the cinema, that's also something he did. So, he saw a lot of the movies that came out. Like, God, my favorite, I say with the most sarcasm ever, Lawrence of Arabia, which is one of his favorites of all time.
Sand. So much sand.
Steven, I love you so much, but
But you need to talk.
there's a reason that he is a world-renowned filmmaker, and you
I'm
are
not. Yes. That is true. I'm just a personally renowned film watcher.
Well, there you go.
But yeah. And then he went to high school in the early 60s. And in 63, he wrote and directed his first independent feature-length film, a 140-minute science fiction film called Firelight, which his dad actually funded. He loaned him the money for. It was like $500-$600. They ended up showing it at a local theater and made back that money in one night.
Wow.
Yep.
It's kind of nice when you spend all this money to make a movie, and then the first night it's out, it's like, okay, here, I'm going to pay you back. And then everything else you just get to keep.
Yes.
More or less. I mean,
sign of his potential that would be coming in the future too. So the following summer he had a unpaid assistant job at Universal Studios in their editorial department, which even after his internship or whatever ended, he still used his pass, which was now technically expired, to go back onto the lot because he'd been coming and going while he was working there, and the guard at the gate began to recognize him. So he just walked back in like he was still working there. They let him right back in. He just wandered around looking at stuff. He ended up wandering onto the set of, I forget which Hitchcock film it is, but Hitchcock was there making a movie. So eventually they caught on and threw him out. But
well,
Yep. And then his family moved again, this time to Saratoga, where he ended up graduating high school, and then his parents divorced. His mom and sisters remained in Saratoga. He moved with his dad to Los Angeles. He was not the best student in high school. So every college and university that he applied to that had a film and or TV program turned him down because his grades weren't good enough. So he ended up going to California State University, Long Beach as a English major because they did not have a film and or TV program, and his dad told him he should have backup, and if he studied English he could become a teacher, which is a respectable form of employment. His college career, though, did not last because he somehow, he somehow made a connection at Universal, probably because of his, internship previous there. So he got someone at Universal to give him the okay to write and direct a short film that would be released theatrically. That was the 26-minute, 35-millimeter film Amblin. And studio vice president Sidney Sheinberg was so impressed that he offered Steven a 7-year directing contract.
Ooh.
Which made him the youngest director to be signed to a long-term plan with a major Hollywood studio. Because this is 1968.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean,
he's 22.
At some point, if the boss likes what you're doing, college isn't necessarily for everybody. And, you get a job, the boss likes what you're doing, and they hire you, it's like, cool. So.
That is true.
Good.
And
good
that's
job.
exactly what happened. He ended up dropping out and accepting the offer. Although he would go back to college in 2002 and complete his degree, just so he could show his kids that like just because you stopped doesn't mean you can't finish it. So.
Well, and by then it's like, why not? I got the money. I got the time.
Yeah. So yeah, he's got a contract with Universal for television, which is not film, but it's something, and it did allow him to hone his skills because he did not have a lot of technical expertise under his belt. So yeah, he cut his teeth in television doing episodes of shows like Night Gallery and Columbo and Marcus Welby MD. And most of these TV shows I don't know the name of. I recognize Columbo. But he did a good enough job that Universal was like, okay, we're going to sign you to do made-for-TV movies, which is a step in the right direction. Mm-hmm. His first was a movie called Duel, which was released in 1971, which is about a psychotic tanker truck driver who chases a terrified salesman down a highway. It apparently is actually quite good. And they were quite happy with it. So his others were mixed, but Duel actually did well enough that they actually had him do pickups, shoot extra scenes so that could be released onto international markets. So, so that gave him enough clout to finally get the opportunity to do his first theatrical film with Universal, The Sugarland Express, which is a crime drama film starring Goldie Hawn. It's about a husband and wife trying to outrun the law, trying to get custody of their kid back from foster care. Apparently, it's based on a true story. Had fairly positive reviews, even though it was not a huge box office success. But it did get Best Screenplay at the 1974 Cannes Film Festival.
Nice.
Cool. So, not bad. And that also marks the first collaboration of Steven Spielberg with John Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And thus a collaboration was born. So based on that success, the producers at Universal, Richard Zanuck and David Brown, decided, let's give this kid a chance with something else. And that movie was Jaws.
Yep.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Mm-hmm. Which was the little film that could.
Yeah.
And that almost didn't.
And almost didn't. This movie had so many issues. You would have thought it was cursed. You would have thought it was The Exorcist or the Twilight movie or something. The Twilight Zone movie, not the Twilight vampire movies, but the Twilight Zone movie.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah. It's cursed for a whole other reason. So yeah, this movie this was like Steven's first like quote unquote big budget movie, although the budget was $4 million. It was his first movie of this type, of this scale. And he realized really quickly that for all of his bravado, thinking he knew everything about filmmaking, he didn't know shit.
That's kind of how it goes. You practice, you cut your teeth on all these different things, you think you're ready, then they hand you the keys to the car and you're just like, I don't know nothing. That's how you learn, kids.
Yeah.
You can do all the training and all the studying and all the practice and all the interning, but until you are actually the person in charge and you've got to, take care of everything and the buck stops with you, that's when you learn how to do it, guys.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, there were multiple full-size mechanical sharks built for different types of camera shots. The platform using to tow a couple of those sharks capsized as they were being loaded into the water, which caused them to float all the way to the bottom. They had to retrieve it. The sharks just did not work for a number of reasons. The skin used on the sharks was supposed to be non-absorbent. Yeah, they absorbed everything the minute they were put in the water. The pneumatics and all the electronics and everything just absolutely fritzed because they didn't consider that they were filming in salt water. Which water and electricity don't mix anyway, but there are ways you can make it work.
Yeah,
salt water is a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah, you add salt to electricity. Well, we found that out the hard way last night. Well, not last night, yesterday. Oh no! Well, the heating element on our stove. Jared was cooking an omelet for lunch, and the heating element on our stove shorted out, and it arced through and put a hole through the frying pan. And there's a black smudge on the ceiling right above that.
Oh boy.
So yeah, and there's spices and salt and other things in there, so that didn't help. Everyone's okay. Damage was minimal. We lost a frying pan, and we had to replace the heating element. We came out ahead.
Yeah.
Anyway,
if everyone's
a lot worse.
Yeah, if everyone's alive, I call that a win.
Yes, which we do. But yes, it's funny. Like, oh yeah, electricity, salt. Guess what happened to us?
Yep. So yeah, a lot of the issues with the shark ended up causing the budget to go from 4 million to 9, which even now these days, like $9 million is like that's like nothing. But at the time, was a lot. But that among other things, there's issues with sharks, because they were filming at Martha's Vineyard, which is a public location that really anybody could go to. So they were getting boats drifting into the camera shots that weren't supposed to be there. Cameras were getting wet that weren't supposed to get wet. I mean, they built rigs for some of the cameras so that they could shoot underwater. But some of the cameras that weren't supposed to get wet were getting wet. The Orca, which is the boat that the characters use, started to sink at one point with the actors on board. So the one of the sharks got the sled that it was on would get caught in seaweed, because part of the reason why they were filming there at Martha's Vineyard is they can go so far. There's a good stretch where they can go so far out, and it's like 35 feet deep or something like that. So they could get pretty far out and not be like in super deep open water. But there's things like seaweed. So,
That can sometimes cause more snags than what you'd actually think they could.
yes, exactly. At one point, who's the guy? Carl Gottlieb, who plays Meadows, almost got decapitated.
Oh,
Ooh.
Yep.
Yikes.
By the boat propellers. Richard Dreyfuss almost got stuck in a steel cage. Most of the actors frequently got seasick.
I'm just sitting here thinking, like, okay, this is your first big movie. You decide to film with, ocean, water, boats, all these things that are just like,
what could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. It's like, Spielberg, I get it. You're kind of this, go big or go home. It's your first movie, dude. But I guess trial by fire. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
it was a mess.
Mhm.
It was a hot mess. But the silver lining was, and they went over schedule by like 100 days or something like that, and obviously way over budget. But the thing with the sharks not working actually ended up being a silver lining, because Spielberg then had to be very creative with the shots, so that you would only see things like maybe the twin coming out of the water, or like the opening shot of the gal, they tied ropes to her legs or something and just yanked her down, so you see her being pulled under the water without actually seeing a shark grabbing her. So it's kind of like the shower scene in Psycho, where if you actually watch it broken down, like slowed down, which actually there's a documentary about that on, I forget what streaming service, just about essentially the shower scene in Psycho, where you think you see a lot more than you actually do.
Yeah.
And Spielberg took that idea and ran with it with this, so that people, the intent, not showing is way more terrifying in some cases.
This is
than
true.
Actually like straight up just like gore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I will, use the example of one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes, Midnight. You never see the monster, and you never,
Nope.
like, it's all just, it's all, suspense and effects and sounds and the acting, and it's creepy, and it's very well done. So I don't mind that kind of horror when they're like, oh no, like you never see the thing. But yeah.
There are people for when like Psycho was released that they were like, oh my god, I can't believe that he showed her getting stabbed like that. And it's like, yeah, no, you never actually see her get stabbed. The knife never actually enters her body in any of the shots. so yeah, it's kind of the same thing. So, which, between Spielberg going that route, that ended up being the best thing he could have done. And John Williams' fantastic score. That $4 million movie that went over budget to $9 million ended up making $470 million worldwide.
Wow.
Becoming essentially the first summer blockbuster movie, paving the way for pretty much everything we've loved ever since. So.
Yeah. That was when it's like, oh yeah, movies, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
and not just. I don't know what the. It was a game changer. We'll just
It
say
was.
that.
Yes, it really was. So that kind of sent Steven Spielberg into a rocketing, and for really like the next like 15, 20 years, he was on a roll as far as being a director. The thing that's crazy is, when you think Steven Spielberg, most people think director, a great director. And yes, he is. I mean, he's one of the greatest directors of, this kind of new modern golden age of cinema. But he's, at least according to IMDb, he only has 57 director credits. He's actually done more as a producer and putting his knowledge and money and connections behind other people's directing. And that started early on because in 1984, he founded Amblin Entertainment, which is a production company, with Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy, of all people.
Well, if you were watching cartoons in the 90s and ever watched Tiny Toon Adventures and Animaniacs, and you watch the credits, those, Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall, Kathleen Kennedy, that was, and then when she took over for Lucasfilm, which I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but I was like, wait, the Tiny Toons lady?
Yeah.
But
Yep. So between 1984 and 1990, he has either producer or executive producer credits on 19 feature films in a 6-year period. And most of those movies were pretty successful. So we're talking things like The Goonies, The Money Pit, Joe versus the Volcano, Batteries Not Included, Back to the Future, Cape Fear, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Harry and the Hendersons, Young Sherlock Holmes, and then yes, a lot of the cartoons that we grew up as on as kids: Tiny Toon Adventures, Animaniacs, Pinky the Brain, Freakazoid.
Yep. They just which because I think a lot of people they get confused and they say, oh, Steven Spielberg's name is on that, so that way that means he must have made it, he must have directed it. Like, well, there's a difference between directing and producing, and it's so it's kind of it's the problem that Nightmare Before Christmas runs into, that Tim Burton wrote it and produced it, he did not direct it. Henry Selick did. But anyway, that's another tangent.
Yeah.
But yes, directing and producing, not the same.
Yeah, but when a film wins Best Picture, the producer's who the statue goes to.
Yes.
So
yes, that is true.
Yeah. In 1987, he shot the first American film in Shanghai since the 1930s. That was the film Empire of the Sun, starring a very young Christian Bale. And then, even while he's, producing quite a bit, he's obviously still directing, because after Jaws, he does Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the first Indiana Jones movie, E.T., Temple of Doom, The Color Purple, Empire of the Sun, Last Crusade, Hook, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Lost World, Jurassic Park, Saving Private Ryan. And that's just getting you to like the year 2000. So, it's I'll have it linked in the show notes. There's a a interview with him from 1992, and the interviewer asks him at that point, whether he's upset if he's, that he's never won a directing Oscar, and he's like, no, not really. And then that was 92, and actually the next year he would end up winning his first directing Oscar for Schindler's List. So speak it into existence, I guess.
The Oscar goes to, this is a big surprise, Steven Spielberg for Schindler's List.
I have friends who have won this before. And I swear, I have never held one before. This is the first time I've ever had one of these in my hand. So, oh, dear. Let me just start by saying that this never could have happened. This never could have gotten started without a survivor named Poldek Pfefferberg, who Oskar Schindler saved from Auschwitz, from Belsen. He's the man who talked Thomas Keneally into writing the book. I owe him such a debt. All of us owe him such a debt. He has carried the story of Oskar Schindler to all of us, a man of complete obscurity who makes us wish and hope for Oskar Schindlers in all of our lives. I want to thank Sid Sheinberg for giving me the book. Thank you, Sid. I want to thank Steve Zalian for a screenplay of inordinate restraint. I have great actors in this movie. Liam, thank you. Rafe, thank you. Ben Kingsley, thank you. I want to thank my wife, who's here with me tonight, for rescuing me 92 days in a row in Krakow, Poland last winter, when things got just too unbearable. And my mom, who's here, who is my lucky charm, whom I love very, very much. And to the 6 million who can't be watching this among the 1 billion watching this telecast tonight.
Yeah.
Which was Schindler's List, going back to his family connections to the Holocaust, and how close he feels to that. It's a very personal thing for him. And Schindler's List had actually been on the back burner for like 10 years. It was something he always wanted to make, but he never felt that he was mature enough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until he actually had his first kid, and became what he called a Jewish dad, that he realized that, it's time, quote Rafiki in The Lion King. It is time.
Mm-hmm.
Schindler's List ends up going to win Best Picture. So we'll be covering that on Gold Standard when we get there. And he does win his first directing Oscar. And then he ends up using some of the profits to start a nonprofit organization called at the time it was just called the Showa Foundation. It is now the USC Showa Foundation, the Institute for Visual History and Education. And their kind of thing is to create audio and visual records with interviews with survivors and witnesses of the Holocaust. Oh, excuse me. So to create kind of a comprehensive record of it. So, and Showa is the Hebrew word for Holocaust.
Okay.
It's a name. So, yeah, and then in 1994, he took a small break from directing to spend time with his family. You know, he just had his first kid, and to set up, which at the time was actually like the first new film studio in quite a long time. Like we've got production companies, which are one thing, and then film studios, which are a whole other thing. You've probably heard of it. It's called DreamWorks. He founded it with David Geffen and the little weasel Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Yeah, if you look at, if you remember the DreamWorks logo, it comes up and then there's these three letters SKG.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember as a kid, like, I don't know what that means.
Spielberg, Katzenberg, and Geffen.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, and so those three founded DreamWorks. Started off on the right foot with financial investments from Paul Allen and Bill Gates, the founders of Microsoft.
Which is funny because Pixar was, well, I don't know if it was, Steve Jobs was a big deal in Pixar.
Yes.
And he, Apple. And, you probably remember, if you are of a certain age, the rivalry, so to speak, between Apple and Microsoft, which I suppose continues now, but not as vehement as it was back then.
Yeah.
So that amuses me that Bill Gates was involved with DreamWorks and Steve Jobs was involved with Pixar.
Yeah. Especially when you consider some of the movies that DreamWorks released early on.
Yes.
Because Katzenberg knew that that's what Pixar was making. So, like, we got A Bug's Life, they made ants.
I know. I remember one year we went, we were going to the theaters. It wasn't in the town that we normally go to. We, went around the mountain to come into the Salt Lake Valley and go to one of the bigger theaters here. And I just remember walking up, the ramp to go to where from the lobby to the, actual theaters. And there was a poster, there was a stand up for ants and one for A Bug's Life. And I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Mm-hmm. Almost pretty much similar storyline.
Yes. I mean, and for a while, it kind of seemed like Pixar and DreamWorks were sort of mirroring each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Katzenberg didn't even try to hide that he was stealing ideas from his former employer.
Not at all. And
like I said, he's a weasel.
Yeah, and obviously Shrek is, they lampoon Disney, all the Disney stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, then Disney, later made fun of themselves with Enchanted, so, whatever. Of course, now, I don't know, DreamWorks and Netflix are buddies.
Yeah.
And they're making shows. So, okay, whatever.
Yep. Yep. So DreamWorks, they do their thing. He'd and kind of been just doing his thing ever since. So producing, directing, winning all the things.
Yep.
He's won Best Director twice. Yes, he's won Best Director twice, Best Picture once. Was Schindler's List. And then he also won Best Director for Saving Private Ryan, although it did not win that year because it lost to freaking Shakespeare in Love. Again, we will get to that.
Keep forgetting Shakespeare in Love was a thing, but everyone knows that Saving Private Ryan is awesome.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and he's still at it, you know. So,
shows no sign of retiring.
No sign of stopping. What? Oh, excuse me. So ever. So it, you know, he still does stuff with TV as well. So at least producing for TV. So you know, he did Band of Brothers. So among other things. I guess technically he was a producer for ER for a while there. So
Sure.
why not? He's done work in video games. Apparently, he's a huge gamer. Apparently, when he's if he's not busy enough being a director and producer and being an influence to up and coming directors, his 7 kids keep him busy. So his first wife, Amy Irving, they met in 1976 when she auditioned for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They were together from 76 to 79, and then they broke up, but they got back to, they reunited in 1984 and then married in November of 85. And then they had their son, Max. And then they divorced in 1989. And then he met his second and still current wife, still with Kate Capshaw, aka Winnie from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which is where they met. Probably the best thing to come out of that movie, probably.
Probably.
Considering they're still together. So they married in October of 1991. Kate actually converted to Judaism before they got married. And she said that, or Spielberg has actually said that actually kind of reignited his love for being Jewish. He'd become kind of ambivalent about it for a while there. So yeah, she did the whole thing, like the entire year before, doing all the studying, and did the full conversion before they got married.
Cool.
He said he credits her for the family's level of observance. He says, "This Shishka goddess has made me a better Jew than my own parents."
That kind of tends to happen. I've noticed, just religious traditions in general, and it's sort of like, once you get your own family, you're kind of like, if you were indifferent before, then you're like, oh, yeah, this is what I want my kids to do, so I better shape up and do it too.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yep. So he had his son Max with his first wife. Kate already had a daughter, Jessica, from a previous relationship, so they came into it with a kid apiece. And then they proceeded to have Sasha in 1990, Sawyer in 1992, and Destry in 1996. And then they've adopted 2 kids, Theo and Michaela. So 7 kids. It hasn't been all fun and games, unfortunately. Apparently in 1997, a man named Jonathan Norman was stalking Spielberg and tried to break into the house. Norman got put away in jail for 25 years.
Good.
And then he had another stalker in 2001, a woman named Diana, who accused him and Jennifer Love Hewitt, of all people, she accused both of them of installing a mind control device in her brain and being part of a satanic cult.
Oh my.
She was committed to a mental institution and pled guilty to stalking. She has since been released on probation with the condition that she has no contact with either Spielberg or Jennifer Love Hewitt.
But when you're wildly successful and popular and people know your name, you tend to attract the weirdos.
Yeah, you attract attention, and not all of it's pleasant. But all things considering, it hasn't been too bad. He's one of the most commercially successful film directors in history. In 1996, Life magazine named him the most influential person of his generation. In 2003, Premiere magazine ranked him first in a list of 100 most powerful people in movies. 2005, Empire magazine ranked him number 1 on a list of the greatest film directors of all time. 2013, Time magazine listed him as one of the 100 most important people of the century. As of 2020, Forbes estimates his net worth at $3.7 billion.
Yep. Way to go. Not bad for a kid who's, dad fixed TVs for a living.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, he's got 3 Academy Awards. He's received 7 nominations for Best Director and has won twice. He was, in 1987, he was awarded the Irving G. Thalberg Memorial Award for his work as a creative producer. He helped the Boy Scouts develop a cinematography merit badge. So,
well, given that he kind of got his start with, a Boy Scout merit badge.
Mm-hmm. He got the AFI Lifetime Achievement Award in 1995. Medal for Distinguished Public Service in 1999. Lifetime Achievement Award from the DGA, the Directors Guild of America. He got his star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2003. He's got his Prince outside Grauman's Chinese Theater. So
all the things.
He's honorary Knight Commander of the Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II as of 2001. So yeah, he's done good.
yeah.
He done good, and there's and like I said, he shows no signs of stopping. So he's got like I said, we've got his version of West Side Story getting ready to be released, and then as far as directing goes, right now on the docket, he's got a film called The Fabelmans that apparently is going to be semi-autobiographical.
Okay. Oh, yes, probably something. Well, just going by the title, something about storytelling, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good. So.
Yep. And of course, that other the next Indiana Jones film he is producing. So.
Yes. Whenever that gets not delayed.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he pops up all over the place too. I mean, you can't discount his just pop culture reach. The people that he has influenced, as directors themselves. My little bit at the beginning, where he gets name dropped in a Simpsons episode and then he's not available. So Mr. Burns hires his non-union Mexican equivalent, Senor Spielbergo. There's a epic rap battles of history at Steven Spielberg versus Alfred Hitchcock.
Epic rap battles of history. Steven Spielberg versus Alfred Hitchcock!
Picture a child sitting next to a projector, learning from your films to become a much better director. Now picture a $3 billion dream machine who can blockbuster all over your crop just to see. Try to do it with me, Alfred, you must be psycho. I'll bring back Jaws and take a bite of your life, bo. I'm always so on top of my game, I get the vertigo. My jet's in the terminal, waiting for me to murder ya. I rock the Academy and the DGA. You rock as many Oscars as that slap Michael Bay. Time you're filling up those jowls with 3 steaks and souffle. Check the trade, see me amble to my next big play. I produce cartoons and make games for all ages. You produce Jimmy Stewart making one of 2 faces. Maybe next time I visit you'll be a bit more gracious. Now kiss my full moon and just bask in my greatness.
That was a close encounter of the turd kind.
Which is one of my favorites, actually.
Yes.
Ends up turning into a 5-way rap battle by the end. So he makes a cameo appearance in the Michael Jackson music video for Liberian Girl, which is just wall-to-wall celebrities. He's just all over the place. There's a link in the show notes to an SNL digital short where he directs Lasercat 7, which that Lasercat 7 itself contains a lot of Steven Spielberg related Easter eggs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm even thinking, yes, he was, he produced Animaniacs, but I'm just thinking of, I don't know if you ever played the video game, the Animaniacs video game for SNES. The premise is, you have to find, Pinky and the Brain have stolen all of the scenes from the script of the latest Warner Brothers movie, and the Animaniacs have to go, Wayako, Echo, and Dot have to go find it. Well, you go through all the studios, and you sneak onto all these sets of different things, and it's like there are so many Steven Spielberg movie references. Like the sci-fi stage has Close Encounters, and there's a bit with you fly up into the air and you're silhouette on the moon. That's obviously an ET thing. The aquatic stage, there's Jaws, and who else? What else? There, Indiana Jones is a big one in the adventure scene, and it's just like Spielberg reference after Spielberg reference, and it's wild. And I'm just, because I recently picked it up again, and I'm like, holy crap, I forgot how many just references are there, which in the show there were Spielberg references there too, but it's just and not just there, in other shows, there's just so many nods to his work, whether it's to him specifically or to things that he's done that are well known, and on all these things, and quite frankly, it's like, whether I haven't seen everything he's ever done, but the ones I have seen, they have made, I remember them, and they've made an impact. And I mean, good grief, he produced, or he was involved with Back to the Future. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Mm-hmm. Which is, it's just, for people of our generation, yeah, his movies are kind of, those are
a
the
big
ones
deal.
we grew up on. Yeah. I mean, E.T. scared the crap out of me when I was 4, and I still can't watch it, which is really weird to say, because everyone's like, oh, it's so sweet and so cute and so this. I'm just like, nope. I can't stand it when he pops out of the cornfield. I hate it when, he's hiding in the closet with all the dolls. And I hate it when Elliot finds him and he's like all, white and pasty and dying. And then, all the creepy, the creepy people in all their hazmat suits, the feds and all that stuff. And I'm like, so yeah, I'm kind of a wimp that way, and I will freely admit it. But it's like, but it garnered a reaction out of me. And to this day, I haven't watched it in I don't know how many years, but it's, it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
And every time someone brings it up and is like, I can't watch that movie. It scared me so bad. So yeah, laugh at me. I don't care.
Hey, we all have our childhood film trauma from something.
Yes. It just kind of makes me laugh, and I'm like, it's supposed to be a really cute and heartwarming, endearing movie, and I'm like, no.
And no.
Like, Spielberg, you traumatized me.
Yeah.
Your
And
fault.
he knows it too. That's
Yes,
the thing.
does. Oh man, but yeah, so all those director credits and awards, and I mean, now that I'm like thinking of it, I'm like, I know he's probably had some turkeys in there somewhere, because you can't be that prolific and not have a few like flop.
Yeah.
But now I can't think of any of them that have flopped that were hits. I don't know. If I went to Wikipedia, I'd be like, "Yay, that's the one." Yeah, I remember that one. It was kind of whatever.
I mean, they're not all going to be blockbusters, but
No.
if you're talking about just like box office, not all of them are going to be Jaws or Indiana Jones. But I mean, even the not, I guess is, obviously that the unnamed, the Indiana Jones movie we will not name.
Okay, yeah, that one I just
I've never seen it, but I guess his version of War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise isn't that good.
It's okay.
So
watch bits and pieces of it. Now, if I remember right, Hook didn't do great at the box office when it was in theaters.
No.
But it's one of those, it's like, if you grew up with it, and of course, Robin Williams is in it, so that makes a difference. But it's one of those that we all remember fondly, because it's the Peter Pan story, but it's a different version of it. And Robin Williams is playing Peter Pan because hello, that's like absolute perfect casting.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't Robin Williams play Peter Pan?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like, so what if it didn't make a gazillion dollars at the box office? It's still one of those that sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Dante Bosco doesn't age.
Nope. Nope, he doesn't. I follow him on TikTok.
Yeah, I recently, there was a fanscription that did like, what if there was a Hook sequel, or no? Well, yeah, like what if Rufio didn't die in the movie and you ended up with a sequel? And I'm like, it's like, man, I wish they could do that now, but I don't think they could.
Yeah,
but it was still interesting. So that one, kind of fresh on my mind right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so keep on trucking there, Mr. Spielberg. Yeah. I mean, this day and age, 75. That doesn't mean nothing.
No,
so
yeah. Although it always makes me chuckle when I see Back to the Future, and they're like, back, it's part 2, and he goes, in 2015. And he's outside the movie theater, and Jaws what, 14 or something, is playing in 3D, directed by Max Spielberg.
Yes.
That always makes
I don't know if Max has any inclinations or has actually directed anything, but
yeah. I mean, I kind of wonder, like, if your dad is Steven Spielberg and you're like, I want it, because even if you
I know one of his daughters is like a musician. So
well, and I wonder if, like, even if you wanted to go into directing, you would always be compared to your dad, and holy cow, who wants to be compared to Steven Spielberg?
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. So that may be a thing, like, maybe not.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah. So cool.
So yeah, so keep on trucking, Mr. Spielberg, and we'll keep on watching.
I hope you have a nice 75th birthday.
Yes, happy birthday and to many more to come. Well, anything else we want to comment on? Is that?
Nope.
Okay, so if any of our listeners want to chime in with their favorite Spielberg movie, show, moment, whatever, or just any topic that we've covered, you know, the news or what have you in this podcast, you may send us some feedback. Our email address is 5ishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also send us, or you can also visit our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. You can also send us comments through the website or on our Facebook page or Instagram or YouTube, links of which can be found at our website. And you can also find ways to support the show however you wish to support the podcast. And of course, we always want to thank our listeners and our supporters and everybody out there for, well, your support, because that's what keeps us going. And we're glad that you enjoy what we do enough to support us. So, and for those who are traveling this week, Thanksgiving, be safe, drive safe, watch the road, watch for deer, watch for cows, watch for idiots. I don't know what's I don't know what's in your neck of the woods, but that's what I encounter on my drive. So, but enjoy the holiday, however you are celebrating with family or friends or whatever. So, and we are all thankful for you. Of course.
Be careful if you're going out shopping, and make sure to wear your stretchy pants when you go to eat.
Yes. Oh, have you guys seen the Carrie Underwood video of that song? I don't really like Carrie Underwood that much, but she has a song called Stretchy Pants, and there's a video that goes with it, and it is so funny. I'll have to find it and share it with the class, because I laughed so hard. I don't even know. Well, no, I know why it popped up on my list, but it's just like, oh my gosh, this is the best. So anyway, yeah, there's your little PS. Go search Carrie Underwood Stretchy Pants. It's a good one. Perfect timing.
Yep. All right. Well, in that note, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. I will leave you with this quote from the man himself. Sometimes a dream almost whispers. It never shouts. Very hard to hear. So you have to, every day of your lives, be ready to hear what whispers in your ear.
You have been listening to the 5ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at the5ishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official 5ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at 5ishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.